Goodbye. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning into the BAMF podcast. I am your jolly host, Mike Lafferty, and here is our musical intro. And here for this holiday-themed gaming episode, I brought the Gingerbread, which is wholly appropriate because we are discussing Gingerbread Kaiju!
Yeah.
Rogue Genius Games. And here to help about that is, unfortunately, not the creator, Stan, who is a hell of a guy but couldn't make it tonight, but Owen Casey Stevens, the publisher, and Jacob Blackman, who is acting a little face-to-face with Tiamat there in the window below me. Hey, you can, before we get going too far, I see some folks are already in the audience. Say hi. Any questions you have, throw them out there, and you can check this game out, tinyurl.com/GB Kaiju, GB as in gingerbread. And I'll open up the PDF. And Owen, how did this game come into being? And maybe we should give a quick elevator pitch to our viewers and listeners.
I'll give a quick elevator pitch, although there is also it is the only Rogue Genius product that actually has a product video at the product page, which actually, Mike, I guess you probably could follow the link and show it to people, so I won't say anything more about it in case you want to do that. Gingerbread Kaiju is an edible board game. You literally make a kaiju out of gingerbread. We've got a number of templates so that you can cut it out. No, we do not have cookie cutters. Yes, we've looked into it. Yes, we are going to continue to look into it in the world of 3D printing. And you make a board out of a deck of cards, and there are various events that can occur when you go to a new spot. You flip the card over. That card tells you what area it is. Is it the Tokyo Psychic Children Institute, or is it a landmark, or you know what? And you can fight each other, but you can also deal with troops and flying saucers and maser tanks, all of which have their own stats, all of which are represented by other candy. And as you damage or destroy things, you get to eat them. So it is literally the game of eating your enemies.
All right, cool. How long is that video on Drive-Thru RPG?
It's like less than 30 seconds.
All right, well, let's share it and show it then. Because we're a high-tech kind of savvy podcast, we can do stuff like that. So, boom, and...
Okay, folks, we're not going to do an official playtest at this point, but because Sean K. Reynolds asked, and when Sean K. Reynolds asked, people listen, we'll do a brief video representation of a battle between King Conk, the eighth wonder of the cookie jar, and Giddy Ra, the dragon that can't make up its mind. It goes something like this. Gingerbread Kaiju. Soon.
So there you go. That's the elevator pitch for Gingerbread Kaiju from right around a decade ago now. So,
yep, 9 years.
Wow, okay.
It was put out December 9th in 2013. So
yeah, so 9 years. And we'll have to do something for the 10th anniversary. Yeah, there you go. No, you got to bite the head off, Mike. It's not a proper Gingerbread Kaiju elevator pitch if you don't bite the head off. There you go. All right. So you asked how this came about. It's funny. So two friends of ours, Mark Curley, who's unfortunately no longer with us, and Mel. Good grief! What's Mel's last name?
Torme?
I believe
Ulfers. Mel Ulfers. The two of them were having a conversation where they can't agree which one of them first said we should make Gingerbread Kaiju. But they agreed that in that conversation, one of the two of them used that phrase. Mark mentioned it to me, and I was like, Gingerbread Kaiju, that is an amazing idea for a game. And since I was the publisher and I'm inherently lazy, I took that brilliant idea to Stan and said, Stan, why don't you write this and illustrate it and make a cover? So he did all those things, and then we realized we need to have a gingerbread recipe in Gingerbread Kaiju because you might well not know how to make gingerbread. It's not a universal skill anymore. So that is where our graphic designer, my wife LJ, came in, and she found several gingerbread recipes, compiled them down to the basics of gingerbread, and made gingerbread. And we cut them out. As I said, they're templates for cutting out the various monsters in the game. And we included it. And those were literally playtest gingerbread monsters that I ate in that elevator pitch video. So that was the core concept. And we've had people, sales always spike in November and December. Who'd have thought? People frequently play it with their families over the holidays, sometimes when the kids come home. Sometimes it is the main event for while you are waiting for the turkey to roast. I've seen people, Jacob made a really complex gingerbread kaiju setup once where they had gingerbread buildings for all of the various spots on the map. But it's not a very long product. It's a pretty simple war game. We didn't feel like we wanted to get into like Overwatch rules for Gingerbread Kaiju. It doesn't seem like it's that kind of oeuvre. And as I was saying just before the show started, one of the very nice things about having a game called Gingerbread Kaiju, not only is it evergreen, we sell some copies every year, but if you do a search for Gingerbread Kaiju and just like on Google, you find our product. If you do it on drive-thru, it's right there. There's really no competition in the cookie-based board game market. We had a version of it go out in a games secret bundle box. We cut a deal with them, and they actually printed copies. This is obviously a PDF. And so there are some other reviews from people that got it through that. And we got a royalty off that. So it's a surprisingly popular, long-legged sort of sleeper product that keeps going a little bit every year. If you scroll through, you'll see the hilarious and brilliant illustrations by Stan.
It's beautiful.
And then that's an example of the play space. There's I shouldn't say Oreo, but I'm going to. It's an Oreo cookie serving on a flying saucer. And the way the damage works, as you damage kaiju foes, you can break off parts of them and eat them. We have always talked about doing a deluxe edition. That might be exactly the sort of thing that we would actually do for our 10th anniversary. So maybe next year. Yeah. And I've got drafts of some tied-in products. I've got mostly written The Mines of Samoria, where the entire point is to successfully make and then eat a s'more. And then we've thought about doing expansions with additional Gingerbread Kaiju. We have given you all the information for specific Gingerbread Kaiju, but we could always make and release more.
I love this idea. I'm debating if I can get my 9-year-old to play this. It involves cookies, so it increases the likelihood.
Yeah, I've never had trouble getting children to play this game. Now, getting them to play it right sometimes is a challenge, but in my experience, if you've got 9-year-olds and Gingerbread, as long as you don't become a rules lawyer, everyone's going to have a good time, whether they do it by the book or not.
Can you say that about every role-playing game? No, you cannot.
No, well, I mean, I've never tried D&D with Gingerbread, so maybe it's true. But and then there are some people that feel like this is too much of a sugar high, and they literally use veggies and like toast rather than gingerbread, and M&Ms and Oreos and everything else we've got in there.
Yeah, you can use all sorts of different snacks with this if you want. That way you don't have to have that sugar headache, from playing this game. There are plenty of means to use, the cracker sandwiches and veggies. We've done that.
I was dating a lady of the Jewish faith for 5 years, and she was mad. She would call me a matzah because I'm a big ass cracker. True story.
I believe it's a true story, but you made me cough too loud for broadcast. I had to mute myself.
Okay. Oh my. Okay.
So I mean, it's a cute, simple little game, and a lot of people have turned it into an annual tradition. Apparently.
Yeah, this is delightful. I love anything that gets tabletop games out of the I don't want to say out of the game store, but into like a space where you can get, say, your cool cousins at Thanksgiving to play it with you or whatever. And I
mean,
love the fact that. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I love that LJ has a recipe in here. That's even better.
Well, and she is the one that said, "Hey, what are you going to use for a gingerbread recipe?" And we're like, "Surely everyone knows how to make gingerbread." And she's like, "Yeah, but it won't necessarily work for exactly what we're doing with it, and not everyone has." I mean, I grew up in a household where there was a copy of The Joy of Cooking from roughly every 5 years, right? It wasn't just one. We would have new editions. But that's not true of everyone. And I don't want to suggest that this is the case, but I've been told that sometimes college students play this game on a lark. Sometimes it involves shots instead of M&Ms and Oreos. And some of them literally have absolutely no recipes. And I'm sure that you can go online and find a perfectly good gingerbread recipe. I can't imagine that you can't. But should you happen to have printed this out, put it in a folder, taken it to the family retreat in the mountains under a rock beyond Wi-Fi, we have you covered. There's an actual official gingerbread kaiju recipe.
Yeah, I was trying to be clever and make up some gingerbread kaiju for this podcast so I could eat them on the air. But I was being lazy. So I was looking for pre-made gingerbread dough because you can find that sometimes. Alas, I couldn't. So that's why I am indulging in Walker's. I mean, butter, shortbread, gingerbread men.
And they work fine. Any gingerbread men do, right? While the rules do allow for what part of the gingerbread kaiju to bite off if you hit it, we perfectly well have humanoid-looking kaiju. One of those could be King Kong just fine.
Okay, we've got the gorilla monster. We've got the giant robots. So you're all set.
I'm really excited.
And you can just use a Twinkie for our Mothra stand-in.
Yeah.
Mothra cannot die, and neither can this Twinkie.
This
is a cool idea. Once again, tinyurl.com/GB, as in gingerbread kaiju. You can check it. Or as Owen pointed out, if you just Google the phrase gingerbread kaiju, it comes up real high in that list. So
we rule the cookie board game market.
Honestly, I would love to see some expansions or sequels for this. What was your s'more-based Tolkien
Mines
reference?
of Smoria.
How have you not put that out yet? That's a beautiful name.
It is. It's a great name, and we actually had that name before this game came out. So it turns out right after this, I got a job with Green Ronin, and then right after that, I got a job with Paizo, and then right after that, I got a job with Lone Wolf, and then right after that, I moved back to Oklahoma, and that has covered the full decade.
Yeah, as I recall, this was Rogue Genius Games' first publication.
This was Rogue Genius Games' very first product. Not everyone knows that because I started Rogue Genius after I was bought out from Super Genius Games, and part of that buyout was that I inherited a lot of products I had written for Super Genius. And when I formed Rogue Genius, the founders are myself, LJ, and Stan. So Stan had also inherited a lot of PDFs. So we put those up. The actual first new Rogue Genius product with Rogue Genius labeling was Gingerbread Kaiju. So one of the weird things is if I sort of have the urge to work on this in March, it gets pushed back because obviously this is a holiday themed product and I've got more important things to do. And then I don't think about it until, it's December 12th and it's my sister's birthday and I haven't called her to wish her a happy birthday yet. And suddenly it's too late because I can't get it out this year. So maybe I just need to bite the bullet at some time and get it all prepped up in advance. Most of my and Stan's Rogue Genius products are done through, let's politely call it just-in-time delivery. It's not unusual if we announce it in advance, which we don't usually do. We're often doing layout the night before. And Stan has a lot on his plate, and I wouldn't want to do gingerbread kaiju. There you go. See, that's exactly how that works. I wouldn't want to do a gingerbread kaiju follow-up without Stan and Stan art. I personally think that cover is half of the charm of the gingerbread kaiju product overall. So, but, people can reach out to me, owen.stevens@gmail.com, and say, we demand gingerbread kaiju follow-ups, and more importantly, we'll pay you for them. And you might be surprised how few of those emails it would take for me to actually get a product on the shelves. Or, maybe it's time for a gingerbread Kickstarter.
Honestly, this is a silver level product. I mean, there's a small minority of books on drive-through who reach that level.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten, more than 100, more than 150 sales. It's done well.
Yeah, I think this is, of course, the world is all on fire and everything's terrible, and that as they say, the shipping and the merchandise pipelines are all messed up. So it's hard to imagine getting this on store shelves. But yeah, surely you could. And a Kickstarter, I don't know. I think it's a great idea. But
obviously you think it's a great idea. You're doing a show about it.
I'm a quirky man following his bliss. Hey, you can check out Owen on Patreon at patreon.com/OwenKCStevens, where you'll get other droll entertainments similar to Gingerbread Kaiju. Owen, always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Mike.
Jacob, good having you on again. Any closing thoughts from anybody before we wrap this up?
If you enjoy content like this, please support us on the BAMF Patreon.
Indeed, because Daddy needs more cookies. Christmas is coming up, and I've eaten my initial supply. So,
Mike keeps promising those of us who co-host the BAMF Patreon donuts. He says this podcast runs on donuts, and I have seen not a single donut.
I've been sending you donuts for years now, Jacob.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Are you not getting it? Talk to your mailman.
Okay.
So the problem you might be running into here, Jacob, is that Mike sends all of those to my house, care of. But then we have you over occasionally and offer you things other than donuts. I mean, we fed you sausage balls last night.
Yes,
so what are you
the sausage balls were amazing. Yes.
But if you want to help send Jacob donuts, go support the BAF podcast.
Indeed. And we're in Ko-fi too, but I can't find that link handy. So
I am also on.
Wait, here it is. Ko-fi.com/BAMFpod. You can buy.
And I'm also on Ko-fi at Ko-fi.com/OwenKCStevens. So
look at us pimping just like Huggy Bear. All right, folks. Thanks for checking out the BAMF podcast. Go buy Gingerbread Kaiju. It's a lot of fun. You won't regret it. Thanks, sir. Good to see you guys again, and we'll catch you all next time on the BAMF podcast.